You won't believe what the super mayor was accused of doing after getting hit with a restraining order. But if you've been on this channel long enough, you'll know that this isn't a surprise at all, because this is what Tiffany Henyard does. The trustees try to put her in a contempt of court, claiming that she has been blocking the village administrator, Keith Freeman, from performing his duties and even locking him out of the building.
So all I'm saying to y'all is like, y'all saying all these things, but y'all not producing anything. But y'all go run over there with the park. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Getting up at press conference, talking about nothing. Learn the laws. I tell y'all that all the time. Learn from me. But because I'm younger than all y'all think y'all can't learn from me, huh? But guess what? I've been winning.
So it's all unfolded in this Zoom call. We're going to talk about what went down in court and why the judge had to give Henyard a serious warning. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, I want to talk about my experience. So shout out to the amazing person that gave me the information that this court proceeding was happening. So I was able to log in on Zoom, and actually I was driving around listening to the court proceeding, and when I had a chance to park the car, I had to write some notes. So this is a lot of condensed information on what I heard in this proceeding and the people that are involved. So we'll go through it right now. Let's talk about how it all began. So the temporary restraining order, the core of this case revolves around, obviously, the restraining order that was issued to Mayor Tiffany Henyard. It all started where the trustees accused Henyard of making unlawful appointments to key positions, such as police chief, village administrator, and village attorney. Mayor Henyard, trustee Andrew Holmes, and trustee Stanley Brown, and several members of the public appeared at the village hall September 3rd, 2024. No quorum was established as required for a meeting, and the meeting was never called to order. Mayor Henyard proceeded to call for department heads' reports. Then she had her personal attorney, Bo Brintley, speak about the quote-unquote attack on Mayor Henyard, the corruption of the board of trustees, and the purported termination of Keith Freeman as village administrator. Mr. Brintley's speech was riddled with misrepresentations of the Open Meetings Act, Illinois Constitution, and Illinois Municipal Code and court orders. Mayor Henyard then stated she was appointing Lakeside Legal and attorney Angela Lockett as the village attorney. Mayor Henyard then stated that she was appointing Michael Smith as the village administrator. You see right there, obviously no vote was taken by the board of trustees on the appointment of Lockett and Smith. Michael Smith is not the village administrator. Angela Lockett is not the village attorney, and Ronnie Burge is not the police chief. So all the people that she appointed have no official business in Dalton politically in terms of running anything with the village. None of these things can happen until the board of trustees vote on these matters. So what does that mean? That means that obviously Tiffany Henyard is big mad right now. They claim that she was acting without proper board approval, bypassing the checks and balances that keep the village business in order, or the village governance in order. As a result, the trustees filed a motion, leading to the Cook County Circuit Court, 4Cs, to issue this restraining order, essentially freezing her power to make these appointments and reinstating the rightful employees, which was Keith Freeman. But that's where things got a little crazy. Despite the order, it seems that Henyard didn't want to follow it. And this is why everyone came back to court. So the lawyers on the trustee side broke this down. One of the main points of contention was the treatment of Keith Freeman, the village administrator, who was supposed to return to his duties after the court order. However, according to the trustee's lawyer, Freeman was locked out not just of his office, but essential systems, software programs that he needed for the job. Then on top of that, at one point, he couldn't get into the building.
Oh, I guess I forgot my code. Dang, cut.
And he actually had to call a locksmith. Now, I guess if you've been on this channel for a very, very long time, Freeman and Tiffany Henyard were known to lock people out of buildings. The locksmith must be making a lot of money. So imagine trying to do your job and being blocked by every turn. He kind of already knew that. That's the policy they used to do until Freeman flipped. But it's no wonder that the trustees were back in court pushing for more answers. Then there was some issues with the former police chief, if you can call him that. I guess he was, but the guy that Henyard hired, but then realized that he couldn't be a police chief anyway, Ronnie Burge, he found himself in some hot water. So the trustees' lawyers claimed that Burge had not returned critical items. He did return the vehicle, but he did not return village issue keys, uniform, and the badge. This failure to comply was another example of how the village was falling apart in the wake of Henyard's defiance and obviously her decisions. So Henyard's lawyer is this dude by the name of Max Solomon, and he did what defense lawyers do. they try to clean this up, try to make it seem like this was just some simple misunderstandings. So throughout the court proceeding, he argued that this whole situation was just some poor communication rather than a deliberate defiance of the court's order. According to Max, Burge had returned the keys, uniform, and badge, but he did it directly to Henyard and not the village itself. His argument centered on an idea that no one was talking to each other properly, and that's why things appeared chaotic. The problem is with this defense, at least in my eyes, that who is the one that's on top of this administration? The reason why there's miscommunication is because it seems like Henyard doesn't want to communicate when things don't go her way. She likes to say, call my phone, but when people try to reach out to her, she is not able to answer, especially if you are against her. And Henyard's lawyer went after Keith Freeman, even went so far to question why Keith Freeman had contacted the locksmith in the first place. He claimed that Freeman already had access to his office, so calling the locksmith seemed unnecessary. In Max's view, the restraining order was being followed. Maybe not perfectly, but the situation wasn't as bad as it seemed. And this is my opinion on where the defense argument starts to crumble. The issue isn't just about logistics or communication. It's about control. If Freeman truly needed to call a locksmith to get into his building, get into the office, that indicates a deeper problem of Henyard's ongoing interference. When you're dealing with a court order, lack of communication shouldn't be a valid excuse for locking people out of their jobs, virtually and physically. But I guess that's how things work nowadays, I guess. He tried to use a lot of compassion in this meeting, basically saying, hey guys, if we just all could work together, talking to the judge, asking the judge, can we get these people to work together? Because, it's just chaotic. And it just seemed a little silly considering that there's such a long history of Henyard doing things that flies at the face of working together. But again, he's a defense lawyer. That's what defense lawyers do. Now, trustees, the lawyer's argument, deliberate interference, that's what they're calling it. The trustee's lawyer argued that Henyard was actively trying to block Freeman from doing his job. They call it a direct violation of the court order. According to them, this wasn't just miscommunication or confusion. It was a deliberate attempt to undermine the village operations. The lawyers pointed out that Freeman was not just locked out of his office, but the village software systems, which obviously is essential for him to perform his duties. On top of that, this wasn't the first time that Henyard did something like this. Trustees argued that Henyard had a history of locking other employees and trustees out of the building. At one point, she locked all the residents out of Village Hall, creating a pattern of obstruction that went far beyond simple misunderstandings. But obviously, Max Solomon, the defense attorney, he was definitely anti-Freeman in this. He basically said that Freeman did not follow protocol. He did not communicate to what's going on, to why he was not able to access his office. And he didn't understand that it's just chaotic right now. He tried to get in the day after the court order, and I guess things weren't corrected yet. I think it added an overall picture of a village in disarray where communication and authority have been completely broken down. So let's just get straight into Judge Wilson and his warning. As the hearing continued, Judge Wilson made it clear that he wasn't going to let this continue unchecked. So Mayor Henyard was actually on the call, and he addressed her directly. He asked her if she was aware of the restraining order. She said yes. And he also asked if she was aware of what's inside, what this order means. She confirmed that she did, which led the judge to issue that stern warning. And he basically told her, hey, listen, if these accusations are true, and if she continues to do this, that there will be serious consequences. He even went as far as to say that he had no problem putting people in custody if they continue to violate the court's orders. This was a critical moment because it showed that this judge isn't playing. This is a clear message that the court's patience was wearing thin. However, in a move that surprised some people, the judge also acknowledged that some of the issues might stem from miscommunication, and he allowed this excuse to fly for now, but he was clear that this will not be tolerated again. Miscommunication cannot be the constant excuse for why things are going the way they do. So moving forward, the court expected full compliance with its orders, and any further violations would not be met with leniency. So in the end, the judge denied the trustees' petition for the immediate contempt charges against Henyard and Burge, but it was denied without prejudice, which means that while the trustees did not win their motion that day, they're free to bring the issue back to court if Henyard continues to violate the restraining order. So Judge Wilson's decision reflects a kind of, I don't even call it cautious optimism, hoping that the parties will be able to resolve their differences without further legal intervention. But I don't think that's going to work given the tensions and the history of conflict between Henyard and the trustees, it's difficult to say whether this is going to be the last time the village find themselves in court over these issues. I think they'll be back soon. So this case is just another example into the broader dysfunction within Dalton's village government. Henyard's leadership has been marked by embarrassing controversy, as another embarrassing controversy, accusations of misconduct, and this is just a latest episode, adds more fuel to the fire. Blocking access to systems, locking people out of office, ignoring court orders, more interested in maintaining control than following the rules. So what is next for Dalton? I know there's a board meeting next week. We'll see exactly what happens there. Who's going to show up? Who isn't going to show up? I have no idea. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this situation. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.